Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to replace the reciprocator. Broken reciprocator for a good one. So this basically, this reciprocator can break when you accidentally hit the hoop with the press foot. When you crash the press foot into a hoop, this is what happens. The reciprocator will break and we need to replace it. In order to do that, we need to remove the sewing head of the machine and then replace the reciprocator. So in this video I'm going to show you how to do that. First, I will recommend to remove the thread. It will be more easy for you to work with the machine without thread. So the first thing that I would recommend is to move the thread and maybe to move all the tubes that are right here. So in this case I don't have any thread right now. It's going to be more easy to work with. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is to remove this cover right here. You press here at the top and gently move this cover away. Okay, then the next steps that we need to do is we need to remove this cable and the cable for the thread break sensor. So the first thing that we need to do is to remove this cable right here. We got a little screw right there. You have to be very careful on that screw not to fall down inside the head, like it happened to me right now. Then we need to remove this cable right here. And now we can remove this cover. Okay, and next we will disconnect the thread break sensor. Very carefully, you have to pull this out. There you go. And that's it. And then we're going to remove this tension box. We have to remove these 4 screws right here using a 3mm Allen wrench. Okay. Very careful with the screws. Very careful, remove this. We got the thread break sensor. You have to be very careful not to fall down the thread break sensor. So you can put this here on top of the thread rack. Now we need to remove this cover right here. So with a screwdriver, a cross screwdriver, we're going to loosen the screws that are right here, 1 and 2. Oops. Very careful with the screws. Oh, it's not. There we go. You remove this cover and it will expose the 2 screws that holds the head to the machine. So basically we need to remove these 2 screws right here with the 3mm Allen wrench. Okay, to remove the head, we're going to grab the head like this and we're going to pull out. There we go. Okay, in order to remove the reciprocator, we need to remove this cover right here and this one right here. So for that, we're going to use a pallet screwdriver to remove these two covers. And there we go. So in order to remove the reciprocator, we need to use a Allen wrench of 2.5 millimeter, and we're going to loosen a screw that's inside this hole right here. Basically, we'll loosen this bar right here, which is the bar of the reciprocator. We just loosen that screw, and then we will pull up the bar. So you have to be very careful. We got here a felt and a bearing. And then you pull up, and then you grab the reciprocator and pull it out. Right here, this is the reciprocator. Okay, to install the reciprocator, basically we need to pull the reciprocator bar all the way up. And then this is the connector rod. Basically this piece is what makes the reciprocator go up and down, or to move up and down. And this area right here goes inside this hole of the connecting rod. So we're going to install that right here, place the reciprocator, and then we pull down the reciprocator bar and we insert it inside the reciprocator right there. So we got a little flat area right here that has to go pointing to the left side. So you pull the bar down, and then don't forget that we have a bearing, so we have to install the bearing as well right here. Oops. There we go. And then the felt. There we go. And then you pull that bar, make sure that the flat area is to the left side. Push the bar all the way down. And then with a 2 millimeter Allen wrench, you're going to tighten the screw that's in here inside this hole. Not too tight. Got to be very careful not to over tight this. There we go. Now we're going to place back the cover right here. Now this cover, you need to pull up the cover as much as you can, because we have to leave a gap right here for the machine when it's moving. When it's changing color, we have to have a little gap right here. So just pull this cover all the way up and then tie them up. Okay, now we put this other cover right there. You see we got the little gap there. There we go. You see we got a little gap right here. It's very important to leave that gap right there. Otherwise your sewing head, when you install that sewing head into the machine, when you move the sewing head from one side to the other, it's going to be a little heavier. In some cases it won't change, just the motor is going to be force and it's not going to be able to move it. Okay, now we're going to install the needle bar case or the head, whatever you want to call it. So basically it's a number 8. It's very important to remove the head in needle number 8, and obviously to install it back in needle number 8, since our color change mechanism, it's on needle number 8 right now. Okay, it's very important to match physically the head with the computer. Okay, basically this pin rolls right here goes inside the gear, and this is the take-up levers. Here it's where the rail goes, so obviously it goes through the rail. Okay, right here. Now we got a little guide. I'm going to show you right here. It's a little guide for the head. So that guide goes underneath right here. So it's very important that guide goes inside this rail right here. Okay. So once again, there we go. If you're having trouble to install the head, let's say if you cannot be able to install the head, something that you want to try is this little guide right here. You got a little screw underneath right here. Just loosen that screw and pull this guide a little bit towards you, just a little bit, not too much, and then tighten it back again, and you will notice that it's going to be more easy to install the sewing head when you have a little more space right here. Okay, there we go. That's it. Now when you put your screws, make sure that the washers are inside the screws. Otherwise, if you lose these washers, the thread, the screw is going to come out, and you're going to have the head, when it's changing color, is going to have problems. Okay, it's going to jam the color change system because these screws are not flat to the system. Basically they are going to stick out and you're going to have some problems. So make sure you put your washers, and you're going to use the 3mm Allen wrench. Don't over tight, can damage the thread of the screw. That's it. There we go. Now we need to clean a little bit all the. Then we're going to place back the cover using the cross screwdriver. Tight it. Don't over tight the screws right here. There we go. Then we're going to place back the tension box. So basically you have to be very careful. This thread break sensor right here, got this little tip of the color change mechanism. It goes inside right here. So there we go. Okay, the little thread break. Right there. Now we're going to place the screws using the 3mm Allen wrench. Don't over tight those screws, just a little gently tight, and that's it. Now the next step is to connect the thread break sensor. Very important to connect the thread break sensor right there. And then we're going to place back the cover that goes here at the back, but we have to pass this cable right here. This cable goes right here. Basically, it's the light of the sewing head when you have a thread break, or when it's running, that green light and red light. This is basically the cable that you have to be connected right there. And then this little screw that sometimes it goes inside here, it falls down inside so you have to be very careful with this screw. Okay, it's tight. And then we place back the cover. There we go. And we finish.